Probably the growth has come from the fact that many of our clients are looking at different ways of spending their money. So traditionally, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, they were spending a lot more money on TV, radio, cinema, posters, and certainly a lot of money on direct mail. And we, as led by the APA really, with most of its members, well, all the members, have spent a lot of money on research. And the research has actually proved the effectiveness of customer magazines. So while over the years we've all spent a lot of time trying to convince our clients and convincing our clients that they actually work very well for their customers, the research is absolutely bulletproof in terms of how well it works. So we've been able to go out to maybe companies who are slightly more cynical about customer magazines and prove to them the worth, and that I think has helped the growth. If you look at the PPA, we've been members of the PPA for a long time. We came out of a heritage of consumer publishing, because when John Brown started the business, we were sort of essentially publishing Viz and Gardens Illustrated. So we've come out of a consumer magazine background. So we've understood the great credibility the PPA has, but it is changing. And having sat on the board of the PPA for about the last 18 months, some of the major points of discussion at the PPA board really are only affecting consumer magazine publishers. They're very important issues, but they're really only very important issues for the consumer publishers, and less so for customer publishers and business-to-business publishers. So having a three-pillar approach, I think there'll be much better representation. There are issues which are relevant across the board for all types of publishers, one being how we deal with the Royal Mail and the postage issue, which we at John Brown have been very influential with. We've had lots of conversations with Postcom. I think Nicola at the PPA does a fantastic job. But I think that's one very big issue, particularly for custom publishers, but across the board. I think the same for some environmental issues with sustainable sources of paper. I think that's a big issue. But I think it's things like, for example, a point I've made before is that PPA, I think, APA members, I think, are responsible for something like 5 to 10% of the funding of the PPA, yet we get zero marketing spend. So whenever there's any marketing done on the PPA, there's little or no mention of customer magazines in that. And I think that's a shame, and I think we should get, if we're investing X amount of money or providing X amount of money, then I think we should be getting a share of some kind of marketing spend as well. Deloitte are coming in to present the findings of their research in terms of how either custom publishers or consumer publishers or business publishers are dealing with the internet and the challenges of the internet. And I'm just on a panel in terms of maybe responding to some of the points that Deloitte have mentioned. And from a customer magazine point of view, well, we're not just customer magazine publishers anymore. We're providing, I mean, easy point to make, editorial content in different forms. And one of those ways is through websites, whether it be on film or whether it be traditional website. So I think we're in a slightly better place because we're dealing in an area where our clients are putting big funds behind this. We've recently signed one of the big Formula One teams who are going to be spending £1 million with us next year on a website for them. So we're in a position where we're getting very large budgets, and I think we're probably in an easier position of dealing with the internet, because we're not actually second guessing what our clients are doing. They're telling us what they're doing next year and the year after. Whereas for a consumer publisher, that's quite hard, because if you're one of many hundreds of thousands of readers of a men's or women's magazine, you don't actually know what the habits of your readers are going to do. And they probably don't know what they're going to be doing over the next couple of years on the internet. Whereas our clients, as big businesses, are planning that much further out, and we can obviously work with them on that planning. I think look to the future rather than the past. I think a lot of people are slightly concerned, well, what is the future? But I think it's all about modernising and looking to the future and taking some leads. I think the PPA has been fantastic as creating a bedrock of credibility